another guest. Hopefully he shows up. If not, we're gonna put him in timeout for being late.
He's got fun.
I'm the principal.
And posters.
If she says it's time.
Remember, if you're on time, you're late.
Yes, he does have 5 minutes, so we'll give him a break. He's a busy man, though. Hi, Cha-Cha.
Yes.
And Joy
Corky. This is her twin.
Yes, sir.
Brother and sister, but
My politics are not finished. So, okay.
Oh, your other one? Okay.
there's 5 of us. About down
I think twice about that.
and then down right. 18 years ago. I graduated in '87, so no. My cousin just showed up, Trina, so that's Oscar's daughter. She's 2 years younger than me.
That's why I should harder.
He's in her grade. I was 2 years older than that. That's cool. I can't believe it. For 20 years, that's a pretty good recall. You're doing really well. Staying up at night, doing the flashcards.
He's got a network diagram board.
That's fantastic. The more you hang around, I mean, everybody's pretty open and has their own story, and then it starts sticking, I think.
There's a couple of terms that can be
I was eating yet. Said he was coming.
Bill or Bob or Sheriff.
John Michael was on there. Say hi.
That would be a cool. If their kids were like a logo or nicknames. Logo is the boy. I don't know.
Oh, this year?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Maybe it's one.
Maybe so. Yeah. So I'll get it out this way.
He's been pretty instrumental in documenting
been involved in the curator of the museum, Fillmore Red School on the side of the field.
Oh, that was an annual.
He's one of the older ones. That is still like with it. Great memory.
I was pointing your sister out. Oh, it's not taken.
Canelo. Canelo's right on the I don't know if you watched
Hey, everybody.
Was it what?
I guess we should start because you're all patiently waiting. Want to welcome each and every one of you that have come to live in this wonderful place that we call Patagonia, Santa Cruz County. It's great. And we have some living treasures here that go back a ways. Very good history. Since we most all of us grew up here, went to school here, raised our families here, and each one of them has a name tag on it. Mine is Maureen De La Osa, and I've got half my family here, I think. But that's a good thing, because I already know their history. So, our first man here is Arnulfo De La Osa. He's my older brother-in-law. And Ophelia De La Osa Spence, and she's one of my sister-in-laws. Patty Holbrook Oliver, and Bob Whittier, and Joe Quiroga. And we just are gonna let them kind of start talking about some young times in their life. They can start when they were first born, or they can start in first grade, wherever they want to tell their little story. And we're gonna keep stopping one and the other from picking up the whole time just talking about their story. So make a short story, and then we'll pass it on to the next person, and you can tell something about yourselves. Like, for instance, where you were raised, where you were born, that kind of thing. Any questions? Okay. Did you hear me, Joe?
Yes, I can. Thanks.
Okay. Do I need to talk louder?
It's not volume that it's clarity that I have
Gotcha.
problems.
Gotcha. Okay, because you're sitting there all by yourself, we're gonna start with you, is that okay? Okay, you start telling your little story.
Okay.
Do you want a microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold it close to your mouth.
Well, I was born here in Patagonia in 1937. And I actually lived in this building, right next to the checkout desk, my room. Then I shared with the other brothers. And I also lived across the street at the Duquesne House. And then a house that belongs to the Chases over there. This is my neighborhood. And I actually spend my times across the street in Lopez whenever I have one available. So this is my neighborhood for sure. And I graduated from high school right from when I was living in this building. And right after my graduation, I went to work for the Bandit Movers for a period of the year to go your gate and you'll be a chore boy and whatnot. And that kind of started my agriculture life. I worked there for a year, and then Mr. Brophy decided that his help were robbing him, which they were. They would butcher a beef every month for the kitchen because they did feed the help there. And so he fired everybody on the place. Along with me, of course, I went, and I saw Mr. Brophy 2 weeks later in church, and he says, "Hey, how come you're not working?" I said, "Because you fired me along with everybody else." He offered to take me back anytime I wanted, but by that time I was already working on the first stretch of 83 going north from Sonoita there, on the first piece of pavement that was paved on that road. It started in Gardner Canyon and went to where it starts to climb up into the pass over there. So I spent that next year there, and from there, in 1960, moved to Canelo, and I worked for the Miller family, taking care of their cattle, and so it was mostly a horse operation. And I worked there for 16 years, and in the meantime, I was also driving the school bus, contracting fence. I was a busy boy, that's for sure. And from there in 1975, when the Jelks bought out the old Houston place, I was actually interviewing for a job at Research Ranch when Mr. Jelks, who had bought the place that I'd been part of it, wasn't I was managing, came in and did the interview and asked me if I wanted to continue to work at the place where I was, and of course I said yes. And after that, he continued to buy, but what's the rest? Not all of the Houston holdings, because they were kind of scattered out from Fruitland Hall, Elgin, and then went into Pachuca. So I spent the next 40 years working for them. So I finally retired. They made me retire when I was 83. Anyway, I worked 63 years, turned my living house back.
When did you get married?
Excuse me?
When did you get married?
When did I get married? 57.
And who did
Right
you
after,
marry?
right after I started.
Who did you marry?
My wife, Columbia.
What was her maiden name?
Cruz. Yeah, she was also a native here. She wasn't born in Nogales, but she was right here. Their house was just kind of next to the Richardson Park, 2 houses down. So anyway, we had raised 5 children. Dr. Mock delivered 3 of them right here at the clinic. The twins, of course, he decided to take to Nogales in case there was any complications. And that went okay, so we were lucky to be able to have one Dr. Mock. I think he's a great guy. He's a real asset in politics, not just the community, but the whole region.
Everywhere.
So that's practically my life until I came back down into Patagonia, and here I am.
Which of your kids were the twins? Which?
Right here, there's one.
The other one.
Cha-Cha.
Corky.
Oh.
And Corky.
Cha-Cha and Corky,
Yeah,
yes.
Cha-Cha and Corky.
What's the most trouble you ever got in?
All of them.
Roxy.
Yeah.
Tell ya.
I was born in Rock Hill, Arizona, San Rafael Valley to most of you and to Trinidad. Oh, 121, okay. I was born in Rock Hill, Arizona, 1940. And this is San Rafael Valley to a lot of you people that know where that is. And we were raised in the country. We moved up a little further northwest, I guess, a little town called, not even a town, just a community called Washington Camp. And that's where we went to grade school. We we had about 18 kids maybe from kinder through 8th grade at that time. And that was a wonderful school. We knew everybody, everybody in school, and we had a lot of fun. We had sports, and our teacher, one teacher, Mrs. Wood and Mrs. Hunter that I remember, and they were great teachers. We learned a lot in those days. My favorite subject was math and science. We had to walk to school. I don't think it was quite 2 miles, but it seemed like it was. And that was fun when you walk with 2 brothers and a sister. We kicked rocks, not the can, okay? Because it's coming from school. So that was great living with having that many brothers and sisters. It really was. We all got along. Mom and Dad were wonderful parents. And then after that, I think the Washington School, I think, was closed at the time that junior high started in Patagonia, so that's when I started coming to Patagonia. Rode the bus every single day, about 20 miles, and that was a lot of fun too. We got to mess around in the bus, and the boys would pull our hairs that sit behind us all the time, but really we couldn't act out too much because they would throw you off the bus. That did my little brother once. High school was a lot of fun too in those days. Most of the girls took cooking and sewing lessons, and we really enjoyed it. In fact, that's where I really learned how to sew and really liked it, so I did a lot of that during my lifetime. And let's see, we were really kind of isolated, although we lived in a lot of our family lived in Lochiel. We were not all that close, but we had relatives in Nogales and in Tucson. And high school was really neat. Volleyball was my favorite sport. And it was a wonderful school. I think we were champions maybe 2 or 3 times. And we all liked that, and we just, we had wonderful teachers there. High school, trigonometry and English was my best subjects. So after that, I got married at 22, and I moved away from the state for about 42 years. We lived in California, Oregon, Texas, Minnesota, and Nevada. So our business was ranching, and then I moved back from Nevada to Arizona when Mom was 98 years old, and she lived to be 103. So it was nice to be back and just spend those last few years with her. And after that, I have 2 children and 5 grandchildren and 2 great-granddaughters. And now I live in Green Valley, and I like it. It's a very nice little town, and it's great to be so close to our family. And Maureen's family also. She's a great sister-in-law, and we all love her, and that's about all I have to say about myself.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Yes.
How many times did one person get to volley the ball when you were in high school? How many times did you have the ball?
Once. Just once.
I thought it was like 2 or 3 times.
No.
You could do this?
No, we did, but I don't really know.
I think you were able to do
Yeah,
that.
but the rules and how they play is nothing like what we used to play.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. And it was so much fun together. You rotated, and you
Yeah.
had more of a chance to all of us to, although we did have certain positions, the front were spikers, and then, but we all, what do we call it when you just hit it over the net? I forgot.
I don't even know. But the other question that I
A serve,
have,
when you serve.
the
Everybody
other
had-
thing that I want to know is, I think I talked with you a couple of years back, and you told me that you drove yourself from another state to here with a trailer and
Oh, yes.
a horse?
Yes, after my husband died,
How
I
old
kept
were you
the
then?
horses for 8 years, and I would come back and forth from Nevada to here in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's another question right here.
What does it cost you mouth?
Mom, there's another question.
Can
Can you hear
I
us?
wanted to ask Ophelia
Okay.
a question.
I'm sorry?
I was wondering how big the graduating class was at the high school when you graduated?
14.
14.
We had
Okay,
14.
just about like it is now.
Is it really?
And where was
also-
the high school?
I'm sorry?
Where was the high school?
Right where it is now.
Right where it is.
Yeah, our class was a very close class. Everybody knew where everybody lived, we had phone numbers and birthdays. I think our first reunion was 10 years, and then it was about, maybe every 5 to 10 years, and we were all there.
Oh.
So far, we have left, half of the class is gone now.
Oh,
There's about 6 of us left.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm Bob Bergier, and I was born in Florence, Arizona. My parents were teachers there during World War II. It was a boom town, and so I was born there right at the end of the war. And my dad was being drafted, or going into the Army, so we moved back here to the ranch. I was maybe a month or 2 old, waiting. And the war ended that summer, so we moved to Coolidge. Both my great-grandparents, 2 sets of great-grandparents came here around 1900. And my grandparents both grew up as teenagers in Patagonia and lived here all their lives. And my dad and my Aunt Edith were both born here and lived here in Patagonia. My father was born, my grandfather's brother was down below Lake Patagonia visiting one of his sisters. And my grandparents went on the train from Patagonia down, you could get off at that time, and visit. So they were visiting the great uncle. And that was my great uncle. And on the way back, my grandmother's water broke. And there was a town called Bloxton, which is right across from the Circle Z. It's just a ruins there now. So my grandmother got off the train and went to her friend Leo the Gatlins. Gatlins is a really old family there also. And she had the baby there, and my grandfather went on to get a doctor. And so my father was born in the house, at Leota's house, and Leota had her son Plate 4 days later. The same house. They were close friends all over. So my grandfather died in 1951, and we moved back here permanently to run the ranch. But we moved down on Pennsylvania Avenue. That's where my friends Linda Bensel and Bill Brooks back there across the street. So we had more fun. We were these kids. And we had behind our house, well, we moved into a really old funky house that belonged to my grandparents. So my dad tore it down and built a new house, and Linda Bill's father helped him stay. So we lived there, but we had, behind our house, there was a jungle-like thing. We built all these houses and carpentry things because there's all this wood left over when the house came. And behind there, Art Robinson had the fire engine, the Patagonia Historical Fire Engine, which just parked back there. We'd play on it and ring the siren. There was an old limousine back there that you could roll up the window between the driver and the back. We played in, I think we left the doors open, probably. Probably doubt that. We had a great time. And it's odd, but on Pennsylvania Avenue, my great-grandfather had a house. He died in that house in October 1922. And my father died 2 houses down in April 2004. So it was a long distance that we all lived in Pennsylvania. I went to school here, all through school, grammar school, high school. When I left, I graduated from NAU, BS, and then I went to the Army. I got drafted and was a cartographic draftsman in North Carolina for 2 years. And I came back to the ranch for a while. I lived in Tucson a while. And then when I got married, I married a woman named Gail Bruce. And we moved back here in 1976 and raised our son. I've lived here 50 years on the ranch. And let's see what else. Yes.
What family had the first televisions in Patagonia?
Well, that's debatable now because my dad had a friend named Chubby Grayson, that was his name. He brought this TV and put it at our house and ran an antenna. But it was his TV. And then Catherine Kuhn went and bought a TV in Nogales, and my Aunt Edith bought a TV. And that TV, it didn't belong to us really. And we got a different TV about 2 weeks later. Because antennas went way up high. We got mostly Phoenix stations.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I,
Tell the story of what you watched on TV, regardless of whose TV it was.
I couldn't hear you what?
What did you guys watch on TV? What did you?
Wallace and Ladd? No.
Yeah.
We watched Phoenix channels.
Well, actually, what your big brother says too is Friday night boxing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my younger brother.
That's your younger brother,
Yeah.
okay. The other
Do
brother
that
says
mistake.
Friday night boxing, and Maureen tells the story. Her dad was,
Oh, Maureen's dad was there
well, he was a sheriff, right? The
yeah,
deputy
he was
marshal.
the sheriff.
Yeah, so they could gamble on Friday night boxing
They had
as
a
long
pool,
as
and
Jack
it was,
Sullivan was there.
Rich Hale.
Yeah.
My grandmother, Willie Bergier, she liked boxing too. And all these men, her son's age, and her, did this pool. And then she always came. And then one time, a couple times, Jack Sullivan brought Limburger cheese. So we'd run around the house and we'd always make I know Rich Hale won one time and he gave us the money.
You mentioned the ranch a couple of times. What ranch? I kind of missed.
That was the Hard Luck Ranch and the Alto Ranch.
Where are
They're out on
those?
Solero Road.
Okay.
I still live there, yes.
I want to know if you bought eggs from Mr. Blake on Pennsylvania.
P.P. Blake.
You know, one time, there was a circus came to Patagonia through Father Titzler, and it was in the, where there was a baseball park. And so I was there and I was wandering around. I lived right down the street. And I wanted to see this hippopotamus, and this man, it was part of the carnival, said, you know, he was telling me all about it. He was being friendly to me. And then he said, there was a python. He had a python. He said, do you know where I could get a chicken? I'll give you $4 a day. And so I rode my bicycle down and bought a chicken from Mr. Blake. Tied it on my bike, rode it back. And then he said, you don't want to see this. No, I don't. So I didn't see the python chicken that I bought from Mr. Blake.
Do you know how those ranches came by their name, the Hard Luck and the Alto? Did your grandfather then?
The Alto is a mining district.
Okay.
There was a town in Alto there, and a school, a post office, the whole works, Alto. And the Hard Luck, my grandfather bought the ranch. The Gatlin family lived there, and this, I think it was James Gatlin, but his wife died of TB. He had 2 little kids, and he sold it to my grandfather. My grandfather moved there, and that year was a drought year. And he had all these cattle in the corral, and this man came up and said, Bob, what are you going to call this place? And he said, looking at these cows, I'm going to call it the Hard Luck place. It's been nothing since Hard Luck since I got it. I still live at the Hard Luck. That was 1920, and it's twice more.
I have another question. In your family, was there something to do with butchering, or somebody was a butcher?
My dad owned a slaughterhouse and a stockyard in Coolidge, Arizona, and we lived there. And they also had they used to call them locker plants before home deep freezes came out. And they butchered and put the meat in a locker, and you owned it, you bought the meat,